Hey, I'm Cyclone, and as many might have noticed, 3.90 Lake of Kalandra has been a rough hit for many people in many different areas like Harvest, Minions, Groupplay, Duo play, Solo play, loot in general. It's been a pretty rough state. Now, while I can't say much about Groupplay as I've only recently got into that, can't say much about Harvest. I'm not the best crafter. I can't say much about minions. I'm not the best minion player. I think I can say a good amount of duo play and how it still can work out with the current state of the game. I will get to that lastly. I first want to quickly summarize what is wrong and how it affects everybody, not just duo play, group play, solo play, any form of play. Now, group play is dead currently. Snapple made a video about it that summarizes it very well and also goes in very good detail why it is dead and how, in what form it is dead. So if you are curious why that is, or in general, as a solo player, I can still recommend watching it because, again, the changes affect everybody. That one really describes it. To give it a quick DLTR, the Beyond changes were kind of fine. The unique changes, like the drop rates of uniques, are okay. The Archnemesis changes are annoying, but they are outside. They're still at least working on that. Like GG is working on that. But the quantity changes are decimating for everybody. It is really rough. Again, I won't be going into much detail because I only understood it after watching Stepos video, so it would be unfair to just take the content he made and make it my own. So again, if you are more interested in that, watch that. What I mean is, for everybody, we only have flat scaling now. It's going to be, if you run a map that is Alcan Go, and if you're running a map that has 100% daily, 5 scarabs, 4 scarabs, 4 sextants, elevated sextants even, going to be with a perfect atlas tree, the expected profit per map might just be the same. And that is sad. Your content doesn't scale with the loot anymore. This picture is like me running a legion in a high tier map, and it feels like I've just killed a few mobs on a low tier map. I see a few rares, I see no uniques, I see one currency item, and I see some splinters. And that is from the enemies, of course. I intentionally ignored the chests. And that is for every content. It is just in a really rough state. So again, we have less loot, which means we have less supply for juicing your maps, which means that the supply is going to have a higher price because there's going to be low supply, high demand. But that means we're going to have a very low return on the already less loot, and with a high price, the profit margin is going to be very minimal, if at all existent. That means that in the end there is no demand. So we have a meta where there is less loot, so low supply, but also low demand because it's not good to run it, which results in us not really having an end game. Sure, we can say, I'm going to make an awesome build, I'm going to play and try it out, and I'm going to push the content, see how far it can go. I'm going to try Uber bosses, but Uber bosses have questionable rewarding loot. Like, it's not really worth much more than the normal version. We have Endgame is in the form of maps, which are making minus, so sure you can try it out, but every one you do, you don't even know if you can do it, and you lose 100 chaos per run. That is just sad. This means that we don't really have any goals, any reason to make absurd builds, any reason to push the game, farm, grind, and make currency, because what for? The only really left thing to target, of course, if you have fun at any of that, feel free to do it. I'm not saying it's not going to be fun anymore. It's just going to feel empty because there's no reward for the challenges. Like, empty challenges are just sad, and I guess there are still the PoE challenges, but even that are just a big grind, and then you have MTX for the next league. But if you have no content to play with, there's no content you can do to look at the MTX and look cool. But yeah, that's enough about the ranting. Let's take the positive look. There's still some things you can do as a duo. Now, they still have the same issue with what you're doing them for, but if you find a reason to play the game, those are the things you can do as a duo party to still make a good amount of profit. These 5 things starting with Simulacrum. With Simulacrum, you're going to level gems and sell level gems or corrupted gems, depending on how lucky you are with the corrupts. And you're going to just do that with 2 players. That means by 1 Simulacrum, 1 player gets 1 set of XP. 2 players get 2 sets of XP. That means you can sell more gems more quickly, so theoretically make more money than a solo player. So in this way, duo play works. You have bossing, which in bossing, a solo player eventually will be able to do the big bosses, do Uber bosses, do Fiat Invitation, do Juiced Fiat Invitation. But if you play as a group, you will get them more quickly, because you have the aura board that can scale aura effect, defensive and offensive, and gives the carry that, and you have the carry who just needs to utilize it very well in the forms of maybe doing a lot of flat scaling, getting the percentage from the aura bot, or the other way around, scaling absurd amount of crit multi and getting the flat from the aura bot. It's going to be easier to get to the end game of the bosses and say, alright, we're going to decimate those bosses before anybody else can, and that will result in loot. It's going to be 5-way. 5-way is a very niche case because you need to find a carry that is willing to run 5 ways as the aura bot, or find an aura bot that is willing to constantly reset 5 ways. And you're going to say, alright, we two going to run this together, we're going to share the loot as like what other people are paying for it and what you get dropped in the 5-way in terms of the timeless jewels and unrelenting emblems. And you're going to host that and run that all day. Now it's going to be very repetitive and it might be mind-numbing, but if you enjoy that form of content, it's really profitable. It's like maybe the one last big profitable thing. The next thing we have is Delve. Now Delve is different because Delve has loot chests in form of the puzzle deposits, the resonator chest, and the chest at the end of a node. They're all flat loot scaling in form of chests that scale with the depths you're in. So it's always profitable to run Delve. As a duo, there are 2 ways you can play it. You can say you have one that pushes in the light and a darkness farm who always goes off track and looks for all the hidden things in the darkness. Or you have an aura bot and you have the carry who are going to run together, and the carry has some form of darkness prevention so he can go off track, and the aura bot just stays in the middle and waits at the card afterwards. And you have an easier time with the bosses. So Delve still works really well for duo play. And lastly, we have Blight. Now, AFK Blight farming is always the same, but with the changes, I think with an aura bot you will have an easier time, and you will have a quicker be able to get into the Blight Ravaged map, which are supposedly giving more loot. Now I say supposedly because I actually only run one Blight Ravaged map ever, and that didn't work out well for me. So I might have to get into that this league. But those are the 5 types of content that are flat scaling, you will safely be able to make loot, and you as an aura bot with you as a carry, or whatever you what role you are with your buddy, are still able to enjoy the game by having that kind of content. You just need to find a reason to do that content and you're good to go. That said, there was first a lot of negativity in the video, then a lot of positivity. Let me know what you think about the 3.19 state of the game. Is it good? Is it not good? And do you think you're going to change the way you're going to play the game? You're going to keep playing it? I'm always curious. That being said, have a great day and hopefully still fun in this league. Goodbye.